First thing, I'm gonna explain you about the basic things which is necessary to know. For example, grade system in the course, about the subject, credit system. Why the credit system is so important to know, I will tell you. What we will learn at the end of each lecture, I'll tell you as well. Whoa, online recording systems. I'll also get to know that system. Some information about second semester, and definitely I will talk about the exams because most students are very confused about the exam system. So I'm gonna let you know how the exams will go on. Okay, the most important and not least is study planning. Okay, I will also discuss with you about the study planning, how you can study your subjects and how you can achieve the greatest grades in the particular course. Okay, and there we will discuss of something about the very first lecture of INFO6042, which is web security. Okay, so from the first, some basic information. It's about the grade system. Okay, so don't believe in myths. I will suggest you don't believe in myths, because most people believes that we will have the grade system as we need to get 2 out of 4.2. So what you think is you need to get only 50% to finish this program. No, sorry, no, definitely no. You cannot be graduated one by getting only 50% of the marks. Okay, so you will find that in your subject which says student success strategy. In that you will learn that how your grade system's working, how your credit system working, and I'll suggest you to get at least 65% in each subject in terms to be graduated. Okay, so by getting 50% you can finish your program, but you cannot be the graduated one. And trust me, for international students it's gonna be so hard to get the work permit if you cannot be the graduated one. Okay, now the credit. The credit system works on the hours. So for example, 6042 web security. This subject has 3 credits. How they gonna calculate the credits? Why they determine the 3 credits for this subject? So for this subject we have lectures for 1 hour in a week, and we will do 2 hours for the lab. So 1 plus 2 is 3 hours. So we will provide our 3 hours for this subject for a week. So this subject contains 3 credits. Now, the credit system works like if your subject have 5 credits. For example, routing and switching. Yeah, routing and switching contains 5 credits. That means you spend 5 hours of week for that subject. And for the grade system as well, I'll consider routing and switching is the most important subject to achieve the most marks, because I will also share with you after this video. I will provide you a link and you can see that how they're going to calculate your GPA, right? Because most students just get confused how they get the low GPA. They got 50% but they're not graduated, they didn't complete the course, and then it's like turn around on your life, so in your career as well. So please take care of yourself. Okay, so why it is so important to learn web security? Okay, web security contains a lot thing about ethical exploits, attacks, and all information. The web security is a prerequisite subject for ethical hacking and exploit, which will be the next semester subject. Okay, so now online recording access. Online recording access is only available for online students, and if in-class students, if they want that recordings, they have to pay for it anyways, and in some special case they can have access by requesting your course coordinator or your student success advisor. Okay, so this is a very basic thing which we should know before doing the ISM. Okay, so now some information about exam. Curious to know about that? Okay. So most students ask me that how the questions gonna be asked in exam? Are those MCQs? Are those matching the match? Are those fill in the blanks? Are we gonna do the descriptive questions? And I'll say, calm down. I'm gonna say right now. Okay, so for example, we have first test in probably week 5 or week 7, first midterm for web security, and it contains 50% of your total marks. That means it contains 15 grades of your total grades. Okay, out of 100, you need to perform well because it's contain 15% of grade out of 100. Okay, so the exam question will be like, most question are MCQs, okay, multiple choice, and fill in the blanks as well. Yeah, sometimes they can ask fill in the blanks. Then matching the match, you can have like multiple question in a single question, and you have to match the perfect one. Descriptive question, it depends on the program and the faculty if they're gonna ask you the descriptive questions in the exam. If you have exam, for example, for web security, we have first exam with 15%, so probably they will take the exam with 65% of marks or 70% of marks, right? So out of 65, there will be 45 will be the MCQs. For rest of the marks, they can ask you the descriptive one. So be prepared for the descriptive one. And I will suggest you one thing. Please write in descriptive to the point. Don't make up stories, because professor actually gonna read those answers. Okay? So be careful while you writing the answers in the test. One more and good news is we don't have any negative markings, so don't afraid of that. So if you're gonna think that if my answer is gonna wrong, how much marks will I lose? You will lose the same marks. For example, if your answer is wrong for 1 mark, you will lose only 1 mark. There is no negative marks. Okay. Now, very important topic is study plan. It depends on the credit. I actually plan it by determining the credits of subjects. Okay, so if I have the subject contains 3 credits, I will give 3 to 5 hours to relearn, like for the homework. Okay, so read daily, do Google daily, read daily, do Google daily, and ask the questions to the professor in the lecture. Most students don't ask the questions to the professor in the lecture. So please ask questions to the professor. Like when you listen something from the professor's mouth, and if you don't understand that, just raise up your hand and ask any question which you didn't understand. Okay, don't be shy, don't be ashamed. We are all students. We can have some foolish question, but we need to ask to clear our doubts, right? So don't be shy. Now, one more suggestion for study plan is try to find some alternatives in your programs. For example, if we have a lab and if we have some commands, for example, professor told us to reboot your Kali, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the pan and we're gonna go to the right click and we will select the machine and we will restart the get. We will select the restart the guests. Okay. Otherwise, we will follow the lab material. Don't follow all the things. Think a little outside of the box and try to find some alternatives for the commands. Because for web security, Kali is most important. Okay. Same as all subject. For OS and application, you have to think about think by yourself to learn more deeply, right? Because professor will never know what doubt you contain in your mind, and you will get doubts only and only when you do some research work, right? So go with the professor, or you can take an appointment by doing the email, right? So you can do the email to the professor. If you are very shy and if you cannot ask questions in a class, you can do that. You can have an appointment to discuss about your doubts to the professor. Okay, so always do this. This is the basic and very important information. Please keep in your mind, and don't believe in myths. Okay, don't believe in myths. Try to get more than 60-65% in each program, each course, and each subject. Okay, so now I'm gonna start this lecture. This is the very first lecture, this introduction lecture. Here he provides some course overviews, that contact information about the professor, course evaluation method, which determines the grade system, test and exam information. Here he provides some percentage that the final exam all exam contains 75% of your total grades, and your labs contain 25% of your total grades. Okay, so I must say that in this course, from the practical, which contain 25% of your total grades, try to get 20%, at least 20%, to recover the most grades. Okay, lab will help you a lot to get good marks. Okay, and for exam we have, think, 3 exams. Yep, 15%, 15%, and the final exams. Okay, so here it provides some general information. It determines the credits, that this course have 3 hours per week, so this course is 3 credits. So yeah, here we go. So we have 2 midterms, week 5 and week 10, and then final exams. So I believe so midterm 1 and midterm 2 both contains, like, in total 30% of your total marks. So try to get 20-25% from that, and then rest of the 45%, like 45, yeah, it's 45% for the final exam. So try to get 40%. If you get good marks in the lab, if you get good marks in midterm 1 and midterm 2, you will find yourself very easy to get the marks. Okay, so here you provide some general guidelines. Here talking about the exams. So here, as I told you, that multiple choice question, true or false, yeah, I forgot it, true or false, matching and ordering questions. Approximately 25% of marks will be the short answer. See, here he provides you the information, juicy information is this. So if exam have 50 marks, if you have exam with 50 marks, the 25%, that is 12.5% out of the 50 will contain the short answer. Please, please, please write the answer to the point. Don't make up the stories. Now, here he provides some test dates, some important dates, some lab details. Yeah, we have to do a lab by ourselves, because professor already teach us about the lab in the lecture, right? If you find yourself in trouble, you have to figure it out by yourself. Try to find on Google, try to ask your friend, and if you cannot find, even though, you can ask the professor, they will help you. But you should do the Google first, like multiple times, if you cannot find your answer. So here are some lab details. You don't need to read that. General guidelines. Oh my god, you don't need to read that. Okay, so here the topics is common web technologies, including HTML, XHTML, HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript, because we have some labs in which we will going to modify our scripting for the websites. Security issues surrounding in social media. Oh my god, my most favorite topic. Security issues surrounding your social media, because we are using a lot social platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, a lot social platforms. So we have to aware ourselves from the vulnerabilities, exploits on that platforms, and you have to discuss this thing with your professor as well in a lecture if you want to share something good things in your class. Okay, some basic features and syntax of PHP. Oh, look at this, he provides you all the details. You just need to read this slide only, just topics, read the topics, that's it. So as I told you, we have some labs in which we will going to do change in the scriptings. So obviously you need to have some basic knowledge on these languages. And OWASP, oh, top 10 Open WAS application security project. And my suggestion is try to read this thing by yourself by doing the Google, because it's really very interesting things. And I cannot cover the whole thing, whole about this OSWAP in this video, so I will suggest you to do the Google. Session management and session protection. See, these topics you will find related to other topics as well. So session management and session protection, you will find that it's matching with the security planning, information security management subjects, OS and applications as well, routing and switching as well, and you have these topics in web security as well. So try to ask the question to professor if you don't understand anything. If you don't understand the session management and session protection, you will find difficult phase in all subjects to understand same kind of topics. Okay, SQL database and SQL injection method. Actually, we already did some part of SQL in last lab, probably in lab 2. We already did that. Code injection attack and mitigations. Oh yes, see, code injection attacks, how the attacks works. You will do these things practically. You will do hacks actually in the next semester when you will studying in cybersecurity subjects like ethical hack and exploits. Okay, now XSS starts cross-scripting side. Oh my god, Java developers gonna love this thing. Okay, whoever have the background from the coding and development of application and websites, they're gonna love these things. So they already have this knowledge, so they will not find themselves in trouble, because they will figure it out all thing by themselves. CSRF, cross-site request forgery attacks, those are attacks. You have to figure it out the attacks by yourself actually. So you can actually write one question: how many types of attacks we have still now? The most important things which you gonna do search right now, right away. Just you can have a pen or paper with you, and you can write down my question in your pen, in your pad, and you can search it later on. So the question is, how many types of attack we have still now for the web? Okay, World Wide Web, for www. So there are lots type of attacks, and I'm pretty sure that our professor, he's gonna explain the things in later on slides. So with the tools we are going to use, he provides such information about that. Don't need to go for it. Okay, web security. So now thing is, how these slides goes on in the lecture, how the professor is going to explain you the whole content in the lecture. So here you will read. Let's start with what is web, right? This is actually a story. This thing is actually a story. They build a story. They relate. You can relate this story to your real life as well, right? So you will not find yourself as a boring. Okay, so large web of interconnected computers. Okay, ARPANET became the first network. Okay, so most important question from this slide is ARPANET. ARPANET becomes the first network. You can have question in the exam that from the below, which became the first network to use the internet protocol. You can have some multiple choice question, you can have some fill in the blank, or you can have true or false. Is the ARPANET is the first network to use the internet protocol or not? Is it true or false? Like that way. And some information about the ARPANET, that which company has created this, for which purpose, and yeah, the first network were not designed with security in mind. See, when ARPANET came, it's probably about 1920 around. Okay, it came around like that. So at that time, we were not aware about such things like hacking. most people doesn't have this kind of knowledge. Okay, so they didn't think about the security, but for now we need to think on it. That's why we are learning this subject, and that's why this is really important to learn ethical hacking exploit, because these subjects will provide you the basic information for your second semester. Now, the one more story. See this: the modern internet emerged with British computer scientist, the name, and the World Wide Web (www) in order to share the documents and provide the link to them. Okay, this is a part of the history of computers when Charles Babbage made the first ever computer. Then they move on to get some file transfer protocol, and they find something like we can share file, whether it, and the distance doesn't matter, right? So they created the World Wide Web to transfer the files with respect of distance. So because of that, we have such topologies. So like for in network system component subject, we will study about the topologies. So this is the story. You can relate these stories to your real world. You have to think like this way. Okay, this story came from this part, and the professor want me to think on this path. So don't need to read this all things. It's not so important, guys. It may not gonna ask in the exam, but this is really important to find yourself the comfort, like to understand the subject. So now he is talking about the cyber attack. Okay, there are many types of attack. See, I questioned you very before that what types of attack we have still now. It depends on the games, on the social media, on any website, whatever you see. And one more question I would like to ask you, that if you want to get some knowledge about the exploits, when you can get it. Okay, just think about it. When you can get some knowledge about exploits and vulnerabilities, there are so many websites who provides you the information about vulnerabilities and exploits about Microsoft, Intel, Nvidia, then most IT companies, most websites, Google drives, and all. They will provide you the most information. Who did this? When did this? How they recovered all the vulnerabilities. You will find yourself. You will find yourself in SM. I'm telling you. You will find yourself very, very, very happy if you think like this way, only and only. So now, what is cyber attacks? Some are pure cyber based. For example, denial of services. Okay, so cyber attacks can be carried out by an individual person. This is the important question from this slide. You can have multiple choice in this thing. You can have true or false in this thing. Okay, so what is cyber attacks? Cyber attack can be carried out by an individual person or a group or an entire organization. Typically, cyber attacks target servers, personal computers, and the network and infrastructures. Okay, so these 2 points are only important for these slides. What is cyber attacks? Note this down. Cyber campaigning. Oh wow. These are typically planned and coordinated attacks. Okay, so when you will find like what types of attacks still we have now, you will definitely gonna understand this. What I'm gonna trying to say is, by doing some analysis, you can plan an actual attack. For example, a movie. If you can see, right, you can see in movie that if a villain gonna kidnap the actress, they will plan. Actually, they will plan, and this is the, you can relate this story with that. It's actually real life story. You can relate with your story as well. If you have any trouble, if you find any trouble with your real life, that okay, I already have provided this detail to certain people, and they get benefit of that details, right? They can do like anything to you, like they can ask for the ransom and anything. They can like do that things, the bad things. So this is called cyber campaigning. So when the groups such as anonymous launches attacks as specific targets, they are carrying out the cyber campaigning against another organization or an individual. I'm sorry. individual. um for example, if I hate someone a lot and if I want to destroy him or her, what I will do is I will gather some information about his or about her, and I will find some vulnerabilities from my information that okay, he or she leaves her or his devices in this time, and I can have access in this time, and I can plan to have an access in that time only, right? So this is called cyber campaigning. It determines the hates. Cyber warfare, you can understand from the name cyber warfare, right? It can describe as an attack or a series of attack conduct against a nation or state by another nation or state. Okay. um we can relate this example with the political issues. Okay, so if two countries doesn't have some good political relation, they will do such things, like we can say this is cyber warfare. It doesn't matter, it depends on the it, it depends on anything. He provides the example as well. See, an example of this is China's PLA unit 61389. You have to find this by yourself. Here he provides a link, thehackersnews.com. See, you can find a lot thing on a web. Thehackersnews.com provides you the most attacks happened in series, or like the most attack happens like recently. Cyber terror is kind of terrorism, right? Barry Colleen in 1980s, he provides you the example. This is the difference between cyber warfare and cyber terrorism. Cyber terrorism, as described by James A. Lewis, is to use a computer network tools to shut down critical national infrastructures, for example, energy, transportation, government operations. Okay, we can relate this thing with our government services. Yeah, we already have an example of Ukraine. The banks were shut down, and a lot of documents came out in publicly. So this is called cyber terrorism. So what if the government side get down for a day? Think about this. It's a very serious issue. So this is called cyber terror. If an individual or an organization do this thing to other organization or other government, this is called cyber terror. You can relate this thing. Cyber espionage. There has been a lot media lately about government spying through the use of technology. Yeah, definitely. What do you think about the Facebook? Is the Facebook provides your detail to the government if they're gonna ask about your details? What about that? What classifies as foreign? Okay, typically government spies on other nations. Yeah, it's very common sense. Um, Traditional espionage was not considered as an act of war. So modern cyber espionage considered the same way, right? So if if two countries, as we already discussed, as if two countries doesn't have some good political issue, a good political relation, they can have issues like this. They can have cyber warfare. They can have cyber espionage. There is only simple difference between cyber espionage and cyber warfare. In cyber warfare, they will launch an attack, right? In cyber terror, they will launch an attack. But in cyber espionage, they will do spy. For example, microchips in computer, right? You cannot remove, you cannot destroy your hardware, right? We already have a lot of example. You can relate that thing with the cyber espionage. Yeah, of course, there is a lot of controversy surrounding the publicly released document. Okay, recently, in last 2 or 3 years, um, some cyber groups concentrating on medical and healthcare data. A lot of people suffer from that in US because they just hack the servers of some medical organization or some insurance providers. So they have a lot details about your healthcare systems. or about your health as well. So it's really very hard. Yeah, you can. I will suggest you one thing. You, if you didn't see the movie name Identity, it's really good. It's basically relates to the Facebook, how they do their tags, how they made this social platform, how they figured out all the network troubles, and how they're gonna diagnose all the things. That movie will tells you a lot. Online threats. You always have some online threats, right? So you can consider some online threats like the fake accounts, right? Um, a lot fake accounts are on Facebook right now. You can say that because I found a lot accounts requesting me, and at this certain amount of time, after certain amounts of time, they have your all details, because your privacy can only for your friends, right? Your friends can see your post, your friend can tag you, your friends can have your personal information as well. And this is the very basic thing when hackers gonna get the information about you. This is the very first phase, which is called information gathering. Okay, so they can have information about your assets, they can have information about your health, they can have information about your tours and travels, and they can get benefit of that. Sometimes social media uh, cause a lot to a person, because another person can use this thing in a positive way or for the negative way, right? Okay, so these are online threads. You can read it, just relate to your real stories. Ha! Here we have one example of that thing, Marine One. Okay, this story is about a few years ago. Some plans came out in the publicly. It's about U.S. president helicopter plan and resurfaced in Iran, and a person just share on peer-to-peer network, and they figured out that he actually allow his media access to publicly. So they found the vulnerability in the network, and they get access of those, and then they available those information to the public, right? Okay, here we have Linux information. How you gonna install it? You can download the uh, VMware VMware file from the given link, and you have to extract it, and then go to the VMware, follow the steps, and you can have VMware VMX file in the VMware. Sorry. Software patches and upgrades. Yeah, I'll give you one more juicy information. Do you know the Microsoft updates? Um, Observe one thing. On which days of week you will have updates? Can you find it? This is your task. Okay, find on which days you have updates in your Microsoft Windows. Okay. Um, as I told you, try to find some alternatives of commands. Read your labs, read your lectures daily, and review it here as well. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the comment box, or you have in the class. The student have my WhatsApp information. I'm also gonna share my social platform information here in the description, and you can follow me there, and you can ask me the question down there as well. I generally do reply in next 24 hours. Sometimes it takes 48 hours, but not more than that. So you can follow me there. You can ask me the question in class. You can ask me a question in WhatsApp. Try to find new commands. For example, if you want to reboot Ubuntu, what are you gonna do that? And note those commands. Note the commands on a notebook, and try to remember those commands. Okay. Here we have some juicy information. He don't want us to be boring one, so he provides some juicy information that Metasploit is written in Ruby. Oh wow, say this. APT is also attempts the manage packets dependencies. So what is the full form of APT? You can find that, right? You can find that in Google. So you should have this kind of question while you're gonna read the slides. I will provide you the question, you will do the Google, and if you still finding yourself in trouble, if you still finding yourself as stuck, I can help you out with that. Okay. APT commands, some most important commands which you have to perform in most of the labs. So APT updates, um this APT commands he can ask you in the exams. It Yeah, so APT update will gonna how they gonna ask you. Okay, so what APT update will do, uh or else it can be asked as true false, right? So updates the list of available application and packets from the repository. apt-get update command do the update in repository only. So they can ask you that it upgrades your OS. Is the apt-get update will upgrade your OS? Is it correct or not? They can have this kind of questions in the exams. Those are logical exams, and trust me, those exams will be very easy if you read all the lectures, if you revise very well your lectures, and if you revise the labs very well, and if you do discuss in the class with your professor and with your classmates. I don't think that I had to read all these things, because this is the exact thing that you have to understand, like apt-get purge, what it will do. He provides you the direct information that it removes a package and configuration files. You just need to remember these things only. So it provides all the most important points, and yeah, you can speed up your process by stringing the command together. It's more logical. Doesn't it make sense to have commands together? Like if you can perform multiple commands on a single time by putting logical AND or logical OR operators. Yeah, the coding guys, right? They do these things very well. Um, Questions? If you have any question, you can ask me. I will recover the lab in next video. For now, I just provide you the basic information and the introduction about this program, and I already provide you the important questions, right? um, I'm gonna say those important questions right away right now, and you can find those questions in description as well. So my first question is, what is web security? um, how many types of cyber attacks we have still now on the social platforms, or on the games, or on the websites, or on the servers? How many types of cyber attacks we have? Okay. um Read and do Google about one thing, is difference between cyber attacks and cyber campaigning and cyber warfare and cyber terror and cyber espionage. You can do one thing, like you can find the difference between cyber attack and cyber campaigning. There's one more question, is define the difference between cyber warfare, cyber terror, and cyber espionage. They just have difference with a single word. Okay, if you miss that single word, you will never gonna understand what is cyber terrorist, what is cyber warfare, and what is cyber espionage. Okay, so for now, bye bye, take care, and have a good one. See you in the next video. We will discuss about the lab, right? If you don't understand anything, just let me ask. And do subscribe, share this video, and let people know about these things. We are doing some good things, right? Bye.